Hey guys, Carter here with Patriot Training Center. I want to talk to you about some tips that I've learned on when people are shooting low and to the left and how to fix that. This is a very common problem. Probably the most common shooting mistake that I see is people hitting their target low and to the left if they're a right-handed shooter and low and to the right if they're a left-hand shooter. So there's a couple different reasons why that happens. It can be really frustrating when you think you have your sight alignment all good and your sight picture all good and you just don't know what is happening to make them go left. And so you'll think that your sights are off, but I'm here to tell you it's not the sights, it's what you're doing to the gun right before the gun goes bang. Okay, so I'm gonna kind of demonstrate what low and left looks like, and then I'll show you what I'm doing to make the gun go low and left. All right, so I'm gonna just go for the head box. And the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna whack the trigger without regards to pulling it straight back. I'm just gonna kind of hit the side of it, and it's gonna push the gun off of alignment. All right, so, okay, so I could do it consistently, but I did it consistently bad. So I was aiming for this A zone, and I whacked the trigger, and I put 2 holes right there. So that's low and to the left, right? So let me show you what I was doing through dry fire, and you guys will see what's happening. Okay, so I've got the gun clear and I'll show you what I was doing. So basically all I was doing is I was going whack, just like that. You can see the muzzle, it goes to the left when I do that. So I'm just, and it's pushing the side, I'm pushing it kind of to the left too. And as I'm whacking it, it's knocking it off of target. Okay, so here's another angle. I'll show you what it looks like to pull it straight to the rear. Just like that. And then whacking it, it pushes it off to the left. All right, straight to the rear. Okay, so now I'll shoot a couple where I'm pulling it straight to the rear. All right, so those are all in the A zone of the head box. So just that little change right there of me pulling the trigger straight to the rear, that's gonna get those where I want them to be. It doesn't have to be a slow motion. I'm not telling you have to pull the trigger slow, although at first you might want to consider doing that just to understand how it all works and make sure you're pushing it straight to the rear. But the idea is that you could speed up and still press the trigger straight to the rear. So another common mistake I see is anticipation before the shot, or pre-ignition push. So what that means is you are putting input into the gun before the round actually goes off. This is very common, especially with new shooters or shooters that have shot a lot but not done a lot of dry fire. They'll have a lot of pre-ignition push. Obviously that's going to push your gun off of alignment, so you could have a great sight picture, but if you have some pre-ignition push, it's going to go off target and you'll miss your target. So I'll show you what that looks like. All right, so I did a really bad one there. So this one right here is really low, and I really pushed that one. You could probably see it on video that I dipped. I see that a lot of times when people are missing really low. So that's what it looks like. My alignment is a little bit better because I was still pulling the trigger straight to the rear, but that's what presses them low a lot of times when you do that. I'll show you what that looks like in dry fire. Okay, so pre-ignition push looks something like this. So right before the shot's about to break, I push forward on it. So I have a good side picture, and right before I tense up and push, just like that. And that drives my sights down, it drives the barrel off alignment of the target, and it pushes those shots low. The way to fix that is obviously pulling the trigger straight back to the rear, but letting the gun do the work. You're not trying to make the gun go off, you're letting it go off. So all you're doing is applying the fundamentals of shooting together. So good trigger press, sight alignment, sight picture, add pressure to the trigger, and let the gun go off. So you don't have to do anything to make it go off. This is a difficult one to do for newer shooters because it's not natural to have a loud thing that goes bang right in front of your hands and hold on to it without tensing up. So working through that in dry fire is really the best way that I've found to combat that, getting used to pulling the trigger without pushing it. If you're starting to push it really bad, go back to dry fire, work through it in dry fire. It'll just be an ever evolving process to make sure that you're staying on top of not pushing the gun down before the gun goes off. The last thing that I see in low and left shooting is a grip issue. So a lot of times I'll see people tense up and they'll kind of start milking the grip down like that. So they'll start torquing it, and that will end a lot of low and left. It also you can start healing it. Any sort of grip pressure change while you're pulling the trigger will push the muzzle off course. So it'll look something like this. So I'm squeezing, tensing up my grip before the shot, and you can see the muzzle will go off alignment. That'll also look something like this. Okay, so this is where I was aiming, as I had good sight alignment, sight picture on this A right here, and everything was down here. I'm starting to form a group right here and down here. All of that happened because I was torquing the gun. I was squeezing the grip right before, milking it. So another thing that you can work on is focusing on how your hands feel. Keeping your grip pressure consistent all the way through the trigger press. This is huge for dry fire, but even in live fire, if you're trying to make precise shots, this is really going to come into effect, because tensing up right before the shot, it could be a natural thing, especially because you have an explosion in your hand and you're worried about that thing going bang. Subconsciously, you're going to start tensing up. Put your conscious mind on how your hands feel and keeping that grip consistent all the way through when you're pressing the trigger straight to the rear. Hopefully those tips were helpful and will help you become a better shooter. The best way to get good at all of this stuff is through dry fire. We have a 30-day dry fire program in the description below. Go click that link, check it out, and we'll catch you guys in the next one.